So, Bobby, here at the NAWCQ, Raleigh, North Carolina, you have performed back-to-back tops. What did you play and how was your experience?
Experience was fantastic. Back-to-back, super happy. I had like 2 milestones going into this tournament that I really wanted to achieve, so I've never gotten a back-to-back top, and I've never topped nationals. So was super happy to accomplish both of them. The next milestone that I wanted to hit was to win a prize card, and I was 1 win away. But yeah, unfortunately, had a tough match against Crooks, and yeah, it is what it is. It was a tough matchup, and yeah.
Piloting Kashtira, correct?
Yeah, I played Kashtira again. Yeah, back to back. Yeah, I think it's the best deck. It's like what I'm used to. I've been back for like 11 months now, and in those 11 months, I've only played 2 decks, Tier and Cash, and that's it. I have not touched another deck, so yeah.
That is insane. To pick this up, again, get back-to-back tops with a very similar list. We're excited to see what you played, but did you have any shout-outs before we get into it?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll keep it shorter than last time with my shout-outs, but shout-out to Joey Smith, who I missed last time, and I felt really bad about it because it was just way too many people. And then, yeah, shout-out to all the Montreal guys, all the Carta crew, and yeah.
Insane. Let's go ahead and get into the list, see what you played.
Let's do it. So I played Kashtira. So played the 3 Fenrir, honestly like best card, like card's crazy. 2 Unicorn, and then the 2 Rise Hard and Scareclaw. Didn't want to play the Ogre again. Didn't want to play the Tier Cash. I did give up on some consistency, but I just feel like those cards are just so bad that like it doesn't really make up for it that I can go like Ogre prep and do some kind of like weird combo. I accepted my fate kind of that like I would brick a little bit, but I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna play the good cards in the deck, and so yeah, so just those 8 for the Kashtira monsters. For the rest of the engine, that we honestly needs no explanation, just the full engine. Again, this is like super similar to Philly. Yeah, nothing changed there. Would not change anything there. So. Then I didn't play the Desires this time, but I did play Prosperity. Originally I was playing Desires. What I realized with this deck is that because like Diablosis is gone and the 2 Rise Hearts are gone, our grind game really relies on the Fenrir, the Unicorn, that kind of stuff now. And with Desires, I kept like banishing like a whole bunch of them face down, and they're really tough to get back into rotation. And like, yeah, obviously Desires, like I said in my last profile, Desires is better than bricking, but like the grind games, like I had a lot of grind games this tournament, like really long, tough games. And yeah, I don't think that Desires would have really gotten me there. From my experience, I kept banishing a bunch of my monsters, and it was just really tough. So yeah, decided to, again, the bricking happened for sure. But yeah, it was kind of like a decision that I made that like I didn't want to banish my deck face down, basically. So yeah,
very good.
And then so I went with 2-2-2 on these. So originally I had 3 Econ, 3 Cyclone. I realized that Kashtira was just still going to be like super relevant, but I really don't like this card going second. So I didn't want to play 3 book. I ended up going with 2-2-2, and then in the side you'll see I play an additional copy of each of them, and there's a specific reasoning for that, and I'll go over that. But yeah, this felt great. The Econs were fantastic. Cyclone's just really good in the meta right now. When you're going first, it actually really hurts Cash. It really hurts Runic. Rika even, this was great versus when I went first, so yeah, I really like these ratios. I wouldn't have wanted to play 3, I don't think. Like, I don't want to draw multiples of these cards, so yeah, this just felt fantastic, honestly.
Yeah, you see enough of the cards, but not draw too many of them.
Exactly, yeah. So, similar to Philly, I played 12 hand traps this time instead of 15. I really like hand traps. I think hand traps are fantastic, actually, in this current meta. There's a lot of combo decks. I played 3 Nib, again for a very similar reasoning to the side deck cards that I'm going to explain, but basically right now, you don't know if Kashtira post-side is going to let you start or if you're going to start. And so that creates an interesting dilemma where you're like, do I side in my Lava Golems right now? Do I side in my Evenleys, my Dark Rulers, my Board Breakers? But what if he lets me start then? And then I open like a brick hand, 5 cards, he has 6, he has Board Breakers, and I'm on like Lava Evenly with like a little combo. I didn't want to run into that, so at first I had like Book of Eclipses because those are good going first or second versus Cash. But in the end, we went with Nibiru. Nibiru felt fantastic in this meta. I played versus a bunch of Rika. I was nibbing Rika all day. There's like Dragon Link in the meta. Yeah, so, and then for the Kashtira matchup, obviously, it's just a fantastic card. I decided to keep the shifters in the main. I just felt like yes, Cash is a super prominent deck, but when this hits, it hits. And I won a lot of game ones with this card that I probably had no business winning. Like there were hands versus like Rika where I opened like double shifter, big bang, and I just like still won. So that's just like not possible with like any other hand trap. So it's a high risk, high reward. I'd say my whole deck is kind of like high risk, high reward, but I kind of like, you know, I accept the bricks, I accept that I'm going to draw this versus Cash, and I try to win the matches where the deck does what it's supposed to do. And yeah, so that's the 40 cards. I've never played more than 40 in my life, so let's do the side deck. So for the side deck, I went with 3 Lava. These were 3 Dark Rulers the week before the event, but there's a lot of anti-spell, there's a lot of like Eradicator. My Vanquish Soul matchup was god-awful. And then this came up so clutch randomly. So I played versus Mathmech, and he summoned the Arrival, the Ignister guy, and I Lava Golem that. I played versus Heroes, and he like Dark Angel or whatever that card's called that like locks me into spells, but he didn't do DPE in the standby to pop his own Link. So he had 2 monsters on the board, and I went Tribute for Lava, and I crashed the Angel, and I won that game that I wasn't supposed to. When you shifter Runic, they're gonna Mannequin Cat you. And then if I just have Dark Ruler, I don't really have a good way to get rid of that shifter. What Lava Golem gives you is the opportunity to not only, like if they summon Chaos Hunter, that's like even worse, but like I can tribute, put this in attack mode, and then I can crash my shifter and free up my board. So not only am I getting rid of their stuff, I'm getting rid of my board, clearing my board, and then I can combo off. Also, I play Lingaribo in the extra, and that's kind of like another, yeah, anyways, I'll explain that later. Yeah, like basically when they Ibly lock you, you can go into Lingaribo, and then you can tribute for Lava Golem, and then you can crash the Lingaribo into Lava Golem, and then combo off. So yeah, so there was a lot of reasonings for the Lava Golem, and it's just really good in this meta right now. So yeah, 3 Ghost Bell. You have to play it for coverage. This deck can't play Bestials, and a lot of decks like Mathmech and Dragon Link, well not Dragon Link, but Branded, I needed this coverage. There's just nothing that does what this card does for those matchups and that work well with the deck.
Yeah, that card's applications are crazy. Like hitting Runic Fountain,
yeah,
Sanctifier,
yeah, Donner versus the For Hire version.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, just mandatory, I think, honestly. Really glad that I put these into my side. So these were actually mained at one point, and they were like okay in the main, but I did prefer them in the side, especially for when I'm going second versus a lot of decks. You could do it going first also, and you could do the minimal play that some players were doing with like Unicorn, get Theosis Fenrir, search back Unicorn, and then like try to draw your opponent if they're a combo deck. But I especially like this card going second. I face a lot of Rika, I face a lot of rogue decks where this came in really clutch. I definitely won a few games with this, so I'm super happy that I played them. And then, so like I said, I put the 1-1-1. So my side strategy with this deck was, versus the mirror I mean, was that if I win game 1, I'm not sure if they're going to let me start, and I don't want to play that guessing game, so I put these 3 in, and I take out the 3 shifters, and then my deck feels very, very strong going first or second versus them. I've got the 3 econs, the 3 books, the 3 cyclones. If they're on the anti-spells, I can do that. If they let me go first, I can hit Birth, I can hit Planet, and book is just great in the mirror. So yeah, that was my strategy, and then when I lost, then I would let them go second, and I would bring in the 3 Lava and the 3 Evenly. Evenly is just a fantastic card right now. It's really good against Kashtira, obviously, and it just breaks a lot of boards that you have no business breaking. Like, it's one of those cards that when it hits, like it really does hit. And I needed a card like this because my strategy was to let decks like Pure Sprite go first. I let Purely go first. So yeah, I was letting a few different decks go first, and obviously cash. So yeah, I needed the really powerful board breakers for that situation.
Insane. And what the extra deck look like for you?
Yeah, so the extra deck was 2 Zeus. You need them. 2 Shangri. Really glad that I cut the third one. I was playing 3 because I was like, oh, but my first turn combo, I do double Shangri pretty often. But in the end, if your Arise Heart's already gone, you don't need that third Shangri. So I cut it and it never came up. So super happy that I did. The one Arise Heart, rest in peace, my boy. And then for the other rank 7s, so I played kind of like a big toolbox for rank 7s. These are kind of standard or like self-explanatory, I'd say.
Explain these two.
Yeah, so this one here lets you go into a 4-material Zeus. Basically, if you're versus a deck where you kind of like stop them a little bit, or you interrupt their play with like an Ash or like an Imperm, or you're versus sprites, whatever, this can basically hit it and then it attaches it, and it's the only way for me to go into a 4-material Zeus in my deck, which is super powerful at that point, because usually they've already used the Imperms, the books, and then I'm like playing through that, so the Imperman book is like the best out to a 4-material Zeus, so at that point they're in like a lot of trouble, and this card actually really came up a lot, not only for that effect, but for the effect that makes him 3100. There's a lot of niche scenarios right now when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And being able to have access to a 3100 XYZ in your extra deck like actually came up a few times. Like my opponents had like Noirs in defense that I could hit over that I wouldn't have been able to hit over, or that like baited out the spin and then let me combo off. So yeah, this card was just fantastic for me. Really like this. I'm actually really sad because I've been playing this for like a month. And the week before this event, some guy like top 4'd with it, and I was like, damn, like the goo is out, I guess. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't too hard to figure out, honestly. And then Master Blades is really mostly for the runic matchups. Very often we were noticing that we bait out the freezing curses, and then once the freezing curses has been baited out, we can go into this guy, and then they can't flashing fire it, which lets me Zeus their board. So there's just these little niche scenarios where this card actually does really come up. There's also more niche scenarios like versus Lab. You can like end on this plus a Rise Heart if you have like a book, and then in the end phase when they like set cards, you can like book target your own guy and like pop his back row, and then like a Rise Heart another back row, and so there's just these little niche scenarios versus decks that like to target, and yeah, I felt like he was useful for me. Barone, obviously love this card. Didn't really make it that much this event, but when it comes up, you need it. I had a friend that got a feature match, and he didn't have this, and it kind of cost him. And yeah, there's a few times even where I like prosp him away, and then later in the game he kind of comes up in the grind game, and I'm like, damn, I should not have prosped that. But yeah, he's really good. Donner, obviously necessary. I only played 2 prosp targets. I almost only played 1 because in this format where you don't have Diablosis, you're not really attaching much with the Arise Heart, so like these guys rarely come up, honestly. This one's obviously for Runic, but yeah, so there's those. And then since Diablosis is gone, I don't have to play 2 of these, which is really nice. And because I don't have to play 2, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna throw this in case I get it locked. I did play versus 2 pure sprite decks or Melfi sprite decks. Didn't really come up, but I do like the application with the Lava Golem where I can link it off for Lingaribo, give them Lava Golem, and then crash it and then start playing. So yeah, felt like I wanted that in there. Yeah, that's
insane, Bobby. Again, 10 years.
Yeah,
finally back.
Yeah.
Back-to-back tops.
Yeah.
One of the biggest YCSs and Nationals. How are you feeling after this showcase?
Feeling good. I wish I could have gone further again, but you know, it is what it is. It's a process, like the channel says, and yeah, just looking to get better and better. Honestly, hopefully Vancouver, I could have a better showing, and then Indianapolis, even better. That's the plan. Definitely want to go back to back, and win that prize card, get top 4, hopefully win a YCS one day.
Bobby, you're back. You're showing amazing shape. We're looking forward to seeing you here at a few upcoming events. You're showing top form. I think we've got a new up-and-comer here in our hands. Any final remarks?
No final remarks, man.
Insane.
Thanks for the feature.
Appreciate the profile, man. Take care.